Hi, YouTube viewers. I'm going to talk a little bit about anxiety. Uh, it's something that is pretty common when you transfer your life from one culture to another culture or relocate to a new country. So there's a general anxiety and there's a chronic anxiety. And we're not going to get into psychobabble. We're going to kind of put everything in layman's terms. Uh, So, do you wake up feeling an emptiness, feeling like something's not right, that you're not adequate? Uh, do you sometimes find yourself doing nothing, sleeping more, uh, just generally not feeling good about yourself? Well, you may have general anxiety if you don't have these feelings all the time. If these feelings are intimate, you may feel this way Monday and be all right Tuesday, maybe all right Wednesday, and it comes back Thursday. This basic anxiety can be, dealt with. It's not too complicated. Uh, a lot of it's from overthinking or cognitive uh, lie, something that you're thinking it's not true. Just try to start with rethinking what it is that's bringing you down. Am I a bad person? Well, probably not. You're just probably comparing yourself to someone who has a little bit more or who has achieved more. But I'm sure there's many people who have achieved less. So that's a cognitive dysfunction. You can rethink and work your way out of that. Uh, why are relationships so difficult for me? Well, sometimes we're setting the bar too high, especially when we come to the Philippines. The first thing you're told is that, you're going to find great, beautiful women, and that's not going to be an issue. They're all over the place. Well, everything in life is relational. And because everything is relational, you have to look at it for what it really is. What you're trying to do is find someone who you're compatible with. Big word is compatible. Compatible with. And, start dating and try to see if you have things in common. If you have things in common, it's a great start. Uh, if the anxiety is driven by relationships, being in a bad relationship or not having a relationship, try to identify what it is that you want and how to realistically achieve it. uh, if it doesn't work out, don't look at yourself as a failure. Look at it as it just didn't work out. We weren't compatible. Doesn't mean you're bad, doesn't mean you'll never find anybody. And the reason why I'm talking about the relational side of anxiety is because I find here that a lot of it is driven by that. And one reason is because many people travel 6, 7, 8, 9,000 miles to come here to find that it doesn't work out. Well, it just didn't work out right now. You can make adjustments. Sometimes that adjustment is finding someone a little more mature because you're mature. If you're just, trying to look for somebody beautiful, you're going to probably run into some immature women who's not a good fit for you. Uh, the honeymoon stage, the first week, the first month, things may go well, but then there's going to be a lot of incompatibilities that's going to show up as inconsistencies in daily life, day to day activities. And once that begins to happen, there's going to be a disconnect, and then you'll grow apart. Ultimately, you'll break up, and it'll drive, what's that big A word? Anxiety. The anxiety will kick in again. You'll feel like a failure, which you're not, and the vicious cycle starts all over again. Okay, how can we view that in a more functional way? Again, you look at it as it just didn't work out. Maybe I made a bad decision. I'm not a bad person. I didn't select a good fit. Try to downsize a bit. Try to look at what's feasible for you, what's going to work, what's more realistic, and start from there. You know, beauty is certainly an eye of the beholder. Uh, Love is not a fixed item. Love isn't automatic. Love is built. It really is. And whoever said that opposites attract, gosh, opposites may attract sometimes, but for the majority of us, relationships seem to work out a little better when we have things in common. I mean, if we don't like to do the same things, and we're going to clash when it's time to do these things. So try to find someone who you're compatible with. In the beginning, what you're going to find is the sex feels good. What that's going to do is that's going to kind of limit your capacity and ability to look at other important areas. Try not to make sex the first thing. Build a relationship first. I know it's hard here in the Philippines. But gosh, the reward, is going to be great. If you meet someone and they want to spend, and have a good time, and you say no in the beginning, let's just watch a movie or let's just walk the beach. If they accept it, then it's a possibility that this will work out. If they reject that idea, then you break up immediately. You just say this isn't going to be a good fit. Because once you begin doing the dysfunctional things, it seems like you're the one who started it. And then all of a sudden you're counting your money and you're looking at your bank account, and now all of a sudden you want to stop. Well, why did you start it? Of course she's going to be upset. You made her feel like she can get what she wants. She can have fun all the time at your expense. Try to lead with your brain and not with physical parts of the body. When you first meet someone, make it about building a relationship and not about buying love. So, that's the relational side of anxiety. Well, financial anxiety is another problem here. And a lot of times, financial anxiety begins with bad relationships. I segue into the finance because they go hand in hand, actually. If you come here with an expectation of spending $2,000 a month, if your budget is $2,000 a month, then you probably should be spending about $1,500. No one should live payday to payday. You have to have emergency funds, because not having emergency funds is going to drive you anxiety. Now, if you can be here for a year without any medical emergencies and you're saving $500 a month, you've created a safety net of $5,000. If you can be here for 2 years without any medical emergencies, you can save $10,000. That's to say that you come here with $2,000 and you have a budget of $1,500, which that's doable. If you come here with $3,000, then you can do more. If you come here with $1,000, you'll save less. It'll be difficult if you're not living in a province to save $100. But if you come here with $1,000, you want to live a ordinary Filipino style life, because The less money you need, the less money you spend, the less anxiety you're going to have. Finances, having more doesn't mean success. Having less doesn't mean failure. What's important is how you manage money. Bottom line, you can have less and save at the end of the year, have more money in the bank than the person who has more, who's overspending. I've seen people here with $4,000 a month and they're waiting for the next paycheck to come in. They're spending everything they have, and a lot of times it's because they're with someone who's not helping manage it. And in fact, they're promoting spending all the money. They even create events. Okay, what does that do? It drives anxiety up. Your anxiety's going up, 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 up. How do you bring it down? Setting limits and boundaries. If you're alone, it's easier to manage. If you have a significant other, a partner, you have to set boundaries. Again, set those boundaries in the beginning, starting from the first date. Don't take someone to some exclusive, fancy, expensive place on a first date. Meet at a coffee shop and make that a daily or weekly thing. Go to the coffee shop and buy a biscuit and a cup of coffee. What's most important during these first 2 or 3 or 4 dates is obtaining information on one another, getting to know one another, being honest, not exaggerating about who you are, being humble. Because if your date can take the real you, it's a good chance the relationship's going to work. The truth is that a lot of folk that come here, not everyone, but a lot of folk come here, they come here because they're not as successful dating in the US, because they feel minimized or small in the US, and they hear that you can come here and be a king, especially when it comes to women. If you're coming with that mindset, you're setting yourself up with failure. The reason you weren't successful with dates in your country is because there were relational problems and relationship problems. I don't expect everybody to think like a clinician. I don't expect you to fully understand relationship theory. But do understand this. A relationship must be built over time. A relationship cannot be bought. A relationship cannot be built on sex. That's a part of a relationship, but it should be like a small part. If your relationship is based on sex, what do you do after sex? Oh, you find all the differences, all the incompatibilities, all the things that you don't have in common. They come to surface very fast. The reason we had problems with relationships in the past is going to be the same reason why in this land of milk and honey called the Philippines, where everybody should be able to get 10 girls if they want. That's the same reason we're going to have problems here in the present. Keep in mind, be mindful that everything in life is relational. From the time you walk into your condo or into your neighborhood, the way you engage people, eye contact, rendering appropriate greetings, being genuine. You can't put a price on that. People are watching you all the time. Posturing. One person asked me, what do you mean by posturing? Well, I find a lot of foreigners, they stand around while they're waiting and they're like this. That's posturing. They have a stern look on their face and their arms are crossed. Looking up and not making eye contact with people. Presenting as you're better. Look at me, I'm a foreigner, I'm better than you. The women are looking at that, the good women. The bad women don't care, they just want money. If you want to attract good people in your life, be aware of your nonverbal cues. The posturing, the not making eye contact, not smiling, not being genuine. People can see that. They might not fully understand it, but I guarantee they're not going to feel positive about it. Smile. Render appropriate greeting. Uh, you don't have to be afraid of other foreigners. You see somebody nice, engage them in conversation. Ask him how's dating been for him in Philippines or anywhere in life. Maybe you guys have some shared experiences. Maybe you can kind of discuss and compare and contrast. So, all of these items that we covered is more leaning toward a generalized anxiety. And this anxiety, again, is driven by cognitive dysfunctions or cognitive distortions. You can, in overthinking, you can undo these cognitively as well as behaviorally. So all that means is that change some of your behaviors and change some of your thinking. And make it a job to do this. Be aware of it all the time. Be aware of your affect all the time. Now, extreme anxiety or clinical is normally surrounding something clinical like depression or something that's driving anxiety. You need a little more help for that. If you find that your anxiety is all the time, where it impacts your life, it impacts your relationships, you can't be around people because you're anxious all the time. You don't want to go to different places because it drives your anxiety up. You're going to need to talk to someone. Uh, Probably the first step is to talk to a primary care physician. Guess what? In the Philippines, 500 pesos is going to get you in to see a primary care physician. You can discuss whatever issues you have, and he can write a referral. That referral to the next doctor might be 600 or 700 pesos, but it's worth it because at least the clinical doctor will be able to help you identify what's going on and give you an initial treatment plan to begin to live with some of this more functionally. I didn't say make it go away. I didn't say fix it. I said make it where you can function or live with it. And sometimes that entails medication. If you have extreme anxiety and you need to take meds, it's not the end of the world because when I was a practicing clinician, I had this thing where I tell people, let's take the meds and let's take the therapy. And this is how it's going to work. We're going to take meds and we're going to have a session. We're going to build it up. Med session, med session, med session. By the time you get that 10th, 11th, or 12th session, it's going to be session, meds, session, meds. The sessions are increasing and the meds are decreasing. Session, meds. And the reason why is because during all these sessions, you're learning interventions, you're learning what's driving some of the anxiety, you're learning the cognitive distortions, you're learning triggers. As you learn all of these, you're going to need less medication until you don't need medication. But don't stop going to therapy. Continue to therapy. Continue to therapy until you think that you're at a place where you can manage the cognitive part as well as the behavior or emotional part. At this point, we'll start working our sessions down where you were meeting with me or the therapist once a week, you're meeting once a month. Once a month. Once a month. Well, now we're at a place where we're just doing maintenance sessions. You're coming once every 2 months just to do check-ins. Just to do check-ins. And the sessions can be short sessions. What's a short session gonna cost you in the Philippines? 2,000 pesos. It's worth it. Let's get our lives back together. Let's get this anxiety under the control. Let's understand that all of us are good, functional people who can not only can but deserve to be in a beautiful, functional relationship. And if you work hard at this, dealing with that pink elephant in the room, and there's always a pink elephant in the room, when you deal with this every day, manage this, manage the cognitive distortions, and know that you are valued. This can work out, and you can live a very happy life here in the Philippines or anywhere in the world you want to go. Thanks, guys. I'll see you next time.